Welcome everybody to skill number 5 from the TOEFL PBT structure section with you, Shadi R. Abu Yusuf. Now, we can call this a skill be, have a look at this, be careful of past participle. Be careful of past participle. Now the question is, what is past participle? What is past participle? Well, past participle in English, most forms of past participle in English end in ed. Like what? Like, look at this, work. The second form is worked, and the third form is worked. So we say that worked, the third one, is past participle. Okay, so look at this. Now, so work, worked, worked, the last one is what we call past participle. Now look at this one here, something like travel, and then you have traveled, and then you've got traveled. So traveled, that is number 3, is what we call in English past participle. So most forms of past participle in English end in ed, but not all forms, because some other forms are irregular. Like what? Like, let's have a look at something like run. Then we've got ran, and the last one is run. So you don't have ed this time. Okay, so this is the past participle, you don't have ed. Okay, now look at this one, another example, something like fly, and then you have flew, and then you have flown. Okay, so also number 3 is the past participle, but of course it's irregular form. Okay, now fantastic. So this is what we call past participle. Now, why do we have a problem with past participle sometimes? Because past participle could be used as a part of a verb, and sometimes it is used as an adjective. So look at this one more time. The past participle is used sometimes as a part of a verb, and sometimes it is used as an adjective. Now let's talk about the first one, like as a part of a verb. Let me give you some example about that. As a part of a verb. Now look at this, people. As a part of a verb. Example, like when I say she has studied English. She has studied English. Well, when we try to pick up the past participle here, it will be studied, which means that the past participle is used after have, has, and had. Look at this example here. Like I can say they have watched the telly. They have watched the telly. Okay, now watched also is a past participle, but it's a past participle that is used as a part of a verb, because the whole verb is have watched. Okay, so watched, okay, is used as a past participle here, part of a verb. Now look at this one. She had caught me before I arrived. She had called me before I arrived. Well, the past participle here is called. What I'm trying to say is the past participle is used after verb to have in some places, like this one, even having, like we can say having trained hard, Jack won the match. So also we see that we have here also past participle. So this is the first thing, so we say that the past participle is used as a part of a verb when it comes after verb to have: has, have, had, or having. Now let's talk about this also. Also, the past participle is used as a part of a verb when it is preceded by verb to be, especially in the passive form. Now look at this example. I can say that the plan has been decided. Now look at decided here. Decided is what we call a past participle, but it's preceded by what? It's preceded by been, and been is a form of verb to be. So we say that we can have verb to have before the past participle, and sometimes we can have verb to be. Another example, when I say something like the car is being fixed. The car is being fixed. Now, fixed, this verb is a past participle, but it's a past participle that is preceded by being, which is a form of verb to be, because the forms of verb to be are am, is, are, was, were, be, been, being. Notice we've got many forms here. These are the forms of verb to be. So one more time. So the past participle is used after verb to have: has, have, had, having, and also the past participle is used after verb to be, especially in the passive form. Fantastic. That's very good. Now what's the problem here? The problem is that the past participle could be used as an adjective. I'll give you an example about that. Look at this one. The car bought yesterday is nice. Let's analyze this sentence here. The car bought yesterday is nice. Now, this is the subject. This is the subject here. Fantastic. So this is the subject, the car. And where is the verb? Bought is not the verb, because it is impossible to be the verb, because the car cannot buy, because it's not a human being, it's not a person. So the car bought yesterday is nice. This is the verb. So the car bought yesterday is nice. The car is the subject, is the verb. Now what about bought? Bought is what we call past participle used as an adjective. So I can say the car is nice, and I can add this adjective here and say the car bought yesterday is nice, which means, look at this example. The plan designed last week effective. Is this sentence correct or incorrect? When we look at it, the plan designed last week effective, we say no, it is incorrect. Why? Because we have the plan, we've got the plan as a subject. But designed can never be a verb for the plan here. Why? Because we can't say that the plan designs. It doesn't happen. The plan is not a person, so that it designs. So we can't say that the plan designed. We can say the plan is designed, but we don't have is here. So we have the plan as a subject, but we don't have a verb in the sentence, because last is not a verb, week is not a verb, effective is not a verb. So in order to make this sentence correct, we need a verb. So we just go like that and say the plan designed last week is effective. So this verb solved the problem. Now, let's see how we can be asked about something like that in the TOEFL test. Let's see this together. We can have an MCQ question, a multiple choice question, like this one. The package is, and then you've got space, mailed at the post office, will arrive Monday. The package is mailed at the post office, will arrive Monday. And we've got choices. A, have. B, where. C, them. And D, just. So, the package is mailed at the post office, will arrive Monday. When we try to analyze this sentence, we look at the subject first. Does it have a subject? Yes, which is the packages. That's the subject. Does it have a verb? Is mailed a verb? We say no, it's not a verb, because I can't say that the package is mailed, because packages are not people, so that they can mail. So mailed is not the is not the verb. Mailed is an adjective here. Where is the verb? The verb is will arrive. What does that mean? It means that we have a sentence with a subject and verb, which means that we don't need a subject and we don't need a verb. So if I said have mailed, I will have, in this case, two verbs, have mailed and will arrive. So have is a wrong choice. And what about them? The package is them, and that's a horrible choice, because how can I put an object pronoun here? And just, the package is just mailed. And then yes, I forgot to talk about B, where. The packages were mailed. Wrong, because when mailed, this means that this is a main verb. We have two main verbs here. We've got were mailed, I've got will arrive, which is not correct. So the best choice is just. That's the best choice. Why? It is the best choice. Just is the best choice because have will give me a verb, where will give me a verb, them, well, that's not the right place at all. Okay, so just is the complete, okay, and the perfect choice here. Look at this. The packages just mailed at the post office will arrive Monday. Fantastic. Now, let's move to another question here, also related to what we're doing. And I'm going to put a sentence and I want you to tell me if it's correct or incorrect. Something like this one. The money was offered by the client was not accepted. Now the question is, this sentence, is it correct or incorrect? The money was offered by the client was not accepted. In order to analyze this sentence and discover if it's correct or incorrect, I look at the subject. Well, the subject actually is the money. That's the subject. Now we need to find the verb. Was offered. Well, that's a verb. Fantastic. So I've got subject and we've got a verb here. So the money, subject, was offered, a verb. By the client, was not accepted. Well, that's another verb. So how many verbs do I have in this one? I've got two verbs, no connector, one subject, which means that this sentence is completely incorrect, because you cannot have two verbs in one sentence without a connector. So in order to make it perfect, all I need to do is to take was away. So the sentence will become, the money offered by the client was not accepted. Fantastic. So this means that we have one verb which was not accepted. Another example. Look at this one. The chapters were taught by the professor this morning will be on next week's exam. Fantastic. The chapters were taught by the professor this morning will be on next week's exam. Now, in order to check this one here, we need to decide on the subject. Well, actually the subject is the chapters. That's very clear. Fantastic. Now let's move to something else. So this is the subject. Do I have a verb? The chapters were taught. Yes, that's a verb. Were taught. So let's give it another color. Fantastic. So we've got the chapters were taught by the professor this morning will be. Well, that's a verb. Now, how many verbs do we have in this sentence? We've got the chapters were taught by the professor this morning will be on next week's exam. That's completely wrong, because you can't have two verbs in one sentence, no connector. In order to make it correct, I need to drop where. So I use the past participle as an adjective. So the sentence becomes, the chapters taught by the professor this morning will be on next week's exam. Fantastic. Another example. Look at this one. Those suspected in the string of robberies were arrested by the police. Those suspected in a string of robberies were arrested by the police. Now we need to check here. Do I have a subject? Well, actually those, not only those suspected in a string of robberies. So we can call that all of this is the subject. Someone might say, but what about suspected? Is it a verb here? I say no, it's not a verb. This is not a verb. This is a past participle used as an adjective, and the only verb in the sentence is that one which is were arrested. So this sentence is completely correct. Now let's read it again. Those suspected in a string of robberies were arrested by the police. Completely perfect. Completely perfect. No problem whatsoever. That's great. Now another one. Look at this one here. And the sentence goes as follows. All the tenants were invited to the Independence Day. The Independence Day. The Independence Day barbecue. I love barbecue. At the apartment complex. and let's make that one capital here. Fantastic. Now let's read it together again. All the tenants were invited to the Independence Day barbecue at the apartment complex. Do we have a subject? Yes, we do. And the subject is all the tenants. Okay, fantastic. And we give it a special color. All the tenants, that's the subject. Now let's continue reading, looking for a verb. All the tenants were invited. That's a verb. So that's a verb here. Well, let's give it another color. Okay, that's a verb. So all the tenants were invited to the Independence Day barbecue at the apartment complex. Do we have another verb? No, we don't. So this sentence is completely correct because we have one subject, one verb. Fantastic. And that is going to be the last example here. Look at this one, the pizza. And by the way, I love pizza too. I love it. The pizza is served in this restaurant is the tastiest in the country. Fantastic. So the pizza is served in this restaurant is the tastiest in the country. Now let's see what we have here. Okay, do we have a subject? Yes, which is the pizza. The pizza is the subject. And do we have a verb? Oh, let's have a good look here. Is served, that's a verb. In this restaurant is, oh, that's another verb, which makes this sentence completely incorrect because I can't have two verbs, one sentence without a connector. So in order to make it correct, I need to drop is, so served becomes a past participle used as an adjective for pizza. So the pizza served in this restaurant is the tastiest in the country. Thank you very much, viewers, and inshallah we're going to meet again in skill number 6. I'll see you later. That was Shadi Abu Yusuf. Bye bye for now. Assalamu alaikum.